So with 667 actions left, how optimistic are you that we will get there? And how many steps specifically in the capital market and banking?
Thanks, Paul. But before I start, I'll be giving a very specific perspective, more on the capital market and also the banks. And coming from the investment banking sector, there have been a number of jokes about investment bankers. Just can I share one joke? Just to cheer the whole up. It says, what do you call 12 investment bankers at the bottom of the ocean? A good start. So obviously that only applies to investment bankers outside Southeast Asia. So in terms of, I mean, you sounded very pessimistic when you talked about the number of initiatives, the number of steps that are required. But for us, you know, in the capital market, we're a bit more pragmatic. We're looking at it very positively. We're looking at third quarter 2012 real GDP to be resilient, as Dato Aung San Suu Kyi said just now. Despite the slowdown in the States, despite the slowdown in the Eurozone, and also despite the slowdown in China, we believe that the GDP of the four main countries in Southeast Asia will surpass 5%. This is internal strength is a reflection of the economic fundamentals, obviously, as well as the banking industry health after what happened in the 97-98 Asian crisis. So Southeast Asia has demonstrated resilience and doesn't show signs of slowing. And in terms of capital markets, we are seeing the integration of the capital markets initiative by various stock exchanges, the ASEAN Link, for example, where it consists of 6 countries, 7 exchanges, market cap of $2 trillion. So this is the beginning. We recently launched with Malaysia, Thailand, as well as now Singapore. That covers 3,600 companies with a population of about 538 million people. So from an investment banker's point of view, in terms of what's important to us, obviously, is the fees. For the first 9 months, investment banking fees for Southeast Asia alone have soared to the highest level ever. From January to October this year, it was at $1.1 billion. And in fact, in terms of the debt capital markets, activity in the region has brought in $270 million fees, and also $4.2 billion bond that was launched in Philippines was a landmark one for the country. Just to share with you the development of the sukuk market, which is very important, not in Malaysia, but also in the Southeast Asian context. ASEAN actually contributed 80% of the total 108.4 billion sukuk globally. So basically, we are quite positive, in short, what's happening in the capital markets. And in terms of the banking sector as well, Maybank, a bit of marketing here, we are present in all the all the countries in ASEAN, the most recent being in Laos, which we launched last month. Even on the investment banks as well, investment banking front, which covers both advisory and broking, we are also present in all the countries. So we're looking at, again, a very strong business pipeline. We're looking at the vacuum that is being left by some of the more bigger multinational banks. We're taking advantage of that. We're seeing more regional banks, more local domestic banks becoming regional. And of course, integration is important. We've seen in terms of intra-ASEAN trade in 1995 was about 20%, and in 2005 I think it's only 25%. So, sorry, 2011 was 25%. So we noticed that it has slowed down. But given if you look at the capital market side, we are seeing a bit more integration. Means obviously Myanmar is still very new. Cambodia relatively nascent. Three companies, I believe, listed on the stock exchange. But in terms of the bond markets, that will be a strong driver. I mean, Indonesia has been very strong as well in terms of the growth. So, well, in short, we are quite optimistic, but not overly optimistic about the progress of the capital markets within ASEAN. Thank you.
Okay, just quick follow-up. So do you think the goal, is it binding or is it just a milestone? The end of 2015 AEC goal? Is it?
Well, there will be challenges for the 2015, even for the capital market side. I think the main thing that was highlighted by Kavi is there will be basic implementation problem, as the timeline and targets require policy coherence at national level. And this, obviously, ASEAN comprised of many different countries at different stages of growth. And then there's also overlapping and duplicative activities. The perception out there, especially by the market, when investors come into ASEAN, is that it's fragmented, it's quite fragmented. So we notice that ASEAN member states still pursue bilateral FTAs with countries outside ASEAN. They also have sub-regional agreements, they have growth triangles, example, Malaysia, Thailand. And of course, there's also gaps in private sector. Coming from the private sector is different from some of you here. The awareness, the engagement, the interest, we believe that it's largely politically driven project. So they need to consult and engage private sector, industry, investors and business more for feedbacks. So we notice that foreign companies seem to be aware of what's happening and interest about the Asian community, AAC by 2015, they are more interested than even ASEAN companies themselves. And of course, they are resistant by our investors, by our clients, local ASEAN industries to further liberalize reforms due to some of the lobbies, the protection, the TAP lobbies and the vested interests in those markets.